Now that we've met the selection, fill, and layer parts of Photoshop, it's time to actually start making something. In your folder here that you've hopefully downloaded at this point, it should say something like Photoshop Sandwich. Mine is on another desktop, but I'll bring it over here for you. You have a couple different files. There's a couple ways to put files into a Photoshop document. You can hit Command C after you've clicked on them and paste it that way, Command V, and that went behind my plate. So I actually want to make sure I've selected my plate layer. Let's call that plate. 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 And if I have that selected and I hit Command V, that lettuce pops up. I can drag and drop files as well. So maybe bread slice. That would make a lot of sense. That's an awfully tiny file, though. That'd be a sad sandwich, don't you say? Here's something else you guys need to know. When I drag and drop in my lettuce, I want you to look at the difference between my lettuce and my bread slice layers. Well, actually, there is no difference now. If you just command and copy them, one will be a smart object, one won't. So I'm going to go back to my lettuce in the Finder, hit Command C, and click on Photoshop, Command V. Now, take a real good look at these layers over here where it says Layer 3 and Bread Slice. Bread Slice has a little icon next to it. This means it's a smart object. Smart objects do all kinds of fun stuff. However, sometimes you can't do stuff to them. So if I want to do stuff to a smart object, like I'm going to show you guys how to get rid of that white background on the bread, I have to make sure I rasterize it first. Rasterize is just a really big fancy way of saying make it normal. I'm going to go up to Layer. I'm going to go down to Rasterize. I'm going to choose the only thing I can while I have this layer selected and choose Smart Object. And watch what happens to that little icon once I click on this. It's gone. Boom. The other thing I need to do is we talked a little bit. That's a very sad sandwich. That's a very tiny little toast, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch toast. So what I want to do, I want to transform it. You can also move things with the Move tool, but in order to transform, you can't just start clicking all willy-nilly like you do in Illustrator. You have to do one of two things. You can either go up to Edit and go down to Free Transform, and you get this box that pops up. Or if you're like me, again, you got to make sure you're on the right layer. You can hit Command and the letter T for transform, and that same box pops up. And now I can drag the handles, make it bigger, make it tinier, really sad sandwich. I can rotate it if I hover over one of the corners, spin my bread right round, and such. Anytime you transform it, you have to hit Enter to apply it. And I'm going to go a little bit bigger with my bread. But as you may have noticed, I've got a little bit of a problem. This looks very much copied and pasted onto my screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the white. And that goes back to those selection tools we talked about. There's a couple ways to do this. The magic wand, if you recall, selects things by color. So let's see what happens when I hit magic wand. And I want to make sure I'm on the add selection. That did a pretty good job of just selecting the whites. Let's go ahead and hit delete. And that gets rid of the white. Let's talk about how we could get rid of the shadow. You could go in and lasso it. It takes a little bit longer, or you can hit the quick selection tool that we introduced earlier. What the quick selection tool does is it snaps to the natural boundaries of a shape. It does not select by color. So it's just kind of going along where it can sense those pixels, and it's selected my lovely, lovely shadow. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. And now I've got a perfectly good crust of bread to build my sandwich on. So I want you guys to go ahead, put your bread slice on your plate. I want you to transform it so it becomes larger. You will have to rasterize it. That's again under Layer and Rasterize, Smart Object, depending on how you bring it in. Hockey dokie. And then I want you to get rid of the white background.